chair moves. Okay. Hello and Allahu Akbar. Baha'i greeting to everyone in the planet. Today is Friday, 20th of April, and I'm one day older, one day closer to the last day. I hope it comes sooner rather than later. Well, this is not a statement of depression or anything. It's just that I've done everything that I have to do for you. There's not much more that I can offer. Well, we'll do this, and I have some other programs, I think, and then I'm ready to go. Unless, you guys do something. I see a surge in Australia. They're my favorite. Australians and people in southern US, especially Arizona. When will you guys wake up? I do what? There are a lot of brave seeds in you guys. A lot of brave people. That they will come out and do what they have to do. But at the end of the day, it's very, very important that this should not become the cause of Abbas or Susan Marshall or Dr. Cole. This is the cause of Baha'u'llah, and it is your cause. So there's no point at any point of time that any of you trying to defend me, or it's really irrelevant. I have no qualms with anybody, and I have no complaint. I have suffered immensely. Bob was locked in, I'm locked out. I can't talk to you, one-on-one. Because it's forbidden to talk to me, they say. I'm the infidels. I am the enemy of Baha'u'llah. I don't know. The measure of oblivion is really far-reach, I can sometimes, I feel hopeless to comprehend the degree of the oblivions of some people. Knowledge, I know. Lack of knowledge, I don't know how bad can it get, really, sometimes. So don't make this is my cause, and most important, do not think any of organs of the Baha'i administration is a mistake. It's not. Universal House of Justice is not working because you are not working. The National Spiritual Assemblies are not effective because you are not effective. Assemblies and all this administration is a mirror of who you are. So as long as who you are, that would be your elections and that would be the result. So there's no point here to come and be angry at those who cannot see the spiritual eyes of Susan Marshall. My God, you seriously have to be blind to say that this woman is not a Baha'i or whatever, trying to stop her freedom. You're all responsible, okay, for what's happened. Some of you are responsible for lack of knowledge. Some of you are responsible for not teaching the others what you know. Some of you are responsible because you're not bringing new Baha'is in the faith, and so on and so forth. But all of this comes with territory as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I have suffered immensely in the last 16 years, psychological suffering. It's very difficult, and not that so much Whether I feel I deserve it or not, I don't know. You know, that's up to Baha'u'llah. But Baha'is do not deserve to do this kind of mistakes, you see. In Canada, they allowed the gay marriage to become legal. I was asking one of them, how do you feel about it? He says, I feel awful. Because I don't believe in gay marriage, he said. He said that worse than that is more awful, he said, that I come to the point that I have to tell people what to do. That's more awful. So he said, I don't deserve to do that. Therefore, I'm going to have to say that people are allowed to do whatever they want to do. In the same case, I don't think Baha'i administration, is deserving this kind of decision making. What is going on, Sometimes I'm thinking that this fate at the moment right now is very vulnerable. Anybody can put a tie and suit and write a book from any agency, get into the fate, and gradually creep his way up to the universal laws of justice. Once their number is more than 5 and 6, they get there and they try to create an implosion of the fate of cause of God and just kills it right from within. I haven't seen in my life one Baha'i teacher to be happy with the administrations. So his administration is not working? Yes, it's not. Why? It's because there has to be universal house of guardianship, the principles that white man in the new countries have understood. That there has to be these opposite forces, which of its interaction, democracy of some sort, or the justice or right of people will be achieved. Even people have found out without the help of God. Now, people of God do not understand this. We do need this universal laws of guardianship at the local, at the national, and the international level, which of their interactions things will get more, clarified. All right, let's go back to our topic. I'm covering right now, hereafter, 5 lines at a time. We're at line 40, and this is line 245. In these lines, all of them, they have, Baha'u'llah is speaking of 2 types of springs. The word is Bahar. Baharan means springs. And Bahar means a spring, and Baha'u'llah is trying to create a comparison with 2 kinds of Bahar. The first Bahar is, of course, a spiritual Bahar, which is the revelation of God whenever He comes. It's the newest spring, Baha'u'llah says. But then he says there's another Bahar that is not the standard of God, but it's our own standard that we start a Bahar. Let's say when the United States of America became a country, when Canada, became a country, when science went up and did this, when movie began, when you were young one day, when you're married, when you had your children. All of these beginnings are also Bahar. This Bahar that he's comparing is not the physical Bahar as in the natural Bahar. No, Baha'u'llah does not talk about that Bahar at all. He's talking about the transient Bahar that we have in our life, our understanding of a Bahar, of a spring, of things new in our life, and what God has in His mind. So, in the comparison, he says, In Baharan ra khazan nawyat zepei. In this, Baharan, spring, an is the plural for Bahar, Persian word. In Baharan, this springs, the, ra means the, khazan, fall, autumn. When things goes down, it's the khazan of something. Khazan. Khazan is the fall. Nawiyat will not come. N in the beginning of a verb makes it negative. Nawiyat will not come. Ze means as a falls off, becomes ze. Pei means behind. این بهاران را خزان ناید ز پی. These springs are not followed, will not be followed by khazan, which is fall. Second hymnistic. جمله گلها طائفند در حول وی. جمله means all. Gul means flower. Ha is how you make a word plural. You could use a-n on or ha, ha, for Persian plural. جمله گلها, all the flowers. طائفند. Ta'if is a peculiar word. When there's a shrine in Islam, a shrine of Hussein or what, when you circumambulate around the shrine, circumambulations, then you're ta'if, attaining, to attain. All the flowers are attaining or they're circumambulating. They're a whole way in its surround of its. Way means it, the spring. It falls for a spring. So all the flowers are attaining, circumambulating around this spring. Means in this springs always has the flower. Never the flower sheds. They're always there. He's talking about that spring, you know. The spiritual spring. The second line of, again, explaining this Bahar, it says, این بهاری نه که جان درکش کند. This spring, not, na means no, not that John, soul, درکش کند, combination word. Understand it, comprehend it, to fathom it. He says this is not a spring that the soul can understand it. That's amazing, eh? We cannot really truly understand the revelation of God, but yet we are trained by it. That's true. The teacher comes into the class, he teaches us a lot of things. He or she teaches us a lot of things. We're getting the benefit, clearly. We're getting educated, but we do not fully understand him. Of course not. We cannot understand Baha'u'llah, nor that we can understand his cause truly and really. But the door is not really closed to get to that understanding. In fact, if you come to the presence of God, then you know why, how does it work? Because a lot of people, I had one email from a gentleman, a Persian one. He says Baha'u'llah does not understand freedom at all, the freedom of thought, the freedom of mind. He's attacking. He says those who do not recognize me, don't even call them human. And he was asking me the questions. How could this be possible? I said, because the cause of Baha'u'llah is based on the natural necessity. Baha'u'llah says, if you don't accept the equality between man and woman, you are not human. If you don't think that religion has to be according to science and logic, that's inhuman. If you don't accept that the poverty in the planet has to be eliminated, inhuman. If you don't accept that there has to be universal government to save all the efforts. So the cause of God is the minimum definition, definition of a new human being. Baha'u'llah says, of course you don't understand it, it's a standard. You're out of the league of humanity, really. So he kind of sent me quite a few emails. And finally, I think he kept quiet because he's not sending no more emails. So Baha'u'llah says that the soul cannot fully comprehend this Bahar, this spring. But he says, what does it do though? In Bahari که روانها را کند, in this spring that uproots, takes right out, cuff, What? Ravan, how? The souls. Ravan is a Persian word which means soul. He says, although the soul cannot understand it fully, how does it operate? How does it work exactly? But their soul is just being plucked right out. Why? Because soul is planted with a lot of attachment to wrong things, to the things that soul does not want it really, subconsciously, but it's attached to. This Baha'i comes and just pluck the soul out, separate him, make him to renounce and detach. They dig into it, dig into the soul and get them right out. It does do that for the soul. The souls, they die for it, but yet they do not comprehend it fully. Something to think about. Then again, he brings this contrast between these two Bahar. He says, "On Baharan shouq خوبان آورد." On Baharan shouq خوبان آورد. Notice the shouq. If it was one I at the end, that would have become the name of guardian. Shouqi. Here is the word shouq. Means the yearning, the exuberance, the enthusiasm, a yearning power. He says that springs, or those springs, brings avarat, the yearning desires, the enthusiasm, the exuberance of the khuban, the beautiful ones. That is for the man, the women, for the women, the man. So it says that brings the love of a male and female to each other. Khuban, the reference to plural. Khub actually means good, but khuban, when you bring it as an end at the end, khuban means beautiful, usually beautiful women. So those Baharan brings the desires towards the Khuban, the beautiful ones, the beautiful women. And in contrast, Win Baharan, the aleph in between is not pronounced. So it goes win. Win Baharan, this springs, Eshq Yazdan Awarat. Eshq means love. Shouq means desires. Eshq Yazdan. Yazdan means God. There are many words in Persian for God. Such as Yazdan, Parvardegar, Kerdegar, Khoda. These are all Persians, like Ahura Mazda. But besides that, we have Allah, which is Arabic, and other names. So, those springs bring the desires of the beautiful ones. These springs brings the love of God. Yazdan means God. There's a lot of difference between these two. Love towards the opposite sex. Is that really love? I explained that before. Maybe I should say a little bit here. I says, okay, materials are made out of a unit we used to call atom. Now we know an atom is made out of particles, and particles made out of subparticles or quarks. In fact, a proton has 6 quarks. There are 6 types of quark: up, down, charm. There's 6 of them. Up, down, bottom, top, strange, and charm. The 6 quarks. So materials are made out of 6 quarks. Nobody has seen quarks. They've seen particles. They try to break down the proton in the CERN in Europe to see if the collision of the proton can break down into quarks. It couldn't happen. Didn't happen yet. So see, I forgot the subject. For some reason I went somewhere else. The material realm, the unit of the matter, as I said, it used to be called atom, now we know it's quark. A guy named Max Planck, I think, him and there was another guy, can't remember all of their names, but they proposed even the energy is made out of a certain amount of energy. That is called the constant of the Planck's, which means energy cannot be less than that. He said energy is not like water that way. It's like a grain of sugar, for example. It's a small bit of something. We call it photons, you know, when the photon of light hits an electron, make it excited. So the energy, the unit of energy, the smallest units, you know, it's called quanta. And that's where quantum mechanics comes, quantum energy. And the matter is what? Atoms and quarks. I said that, let's go to two other units. What is time? I said time is an infinite measurements of a motion from somewhere that we do not know, and it goes somewhere that we do not also know. But the unit of it, let's call it B and E. B. God says B. B and E, and it became. B and E stands for beginning and end. So time of something is the day that it was incepted, or a start to motion, and when the motion is stopped. That is the time of the measurement of the motion. What is then the unit of love between man and women? I said it is sex. If you loved your wife when you're married, and you feel after a few months you're not very much attracted because you have too much sex, stop that. Make it once in a week. Make it, I don't know, whatever your measurement is, try to procrastinate it. It makes you to go back to her or him. That turns into love for her. But if you keep having too much sex, even Romeo and Juliet, if they sleep with each other 24 hours a day, after 6 months, Romeo says, Juliet, bring me a coffee, fetch me, go get it yourself. Why? Because they cashed in the love into the energy of sex, you see. So, that's what Baha'u'llah says. Those, Baharan brings the love towards the beautiful ones. It has a material initiations. Why don't you have the same sex for another man or a woman for another woman? Although, let's not get into that topics. But generally speaking, you don't have that. Why do you have just for her? It's because your two materials are binding. There's a binding between them. And those energies are copulating, and that's why you get attracted to that person. It's like two broken pieces of glass. When it fits really right in, it's I'm in love. So God starts from the instinct to teach us what love is. Perhaps then we stayed with that woman a million years ago, and perhaps because of that family began, you see. So love at any state is beautiful anyways, even towards a woman or towards a man, or even towards man to man, you know. A lot of people live in love with Baha'u'llah. That was a spiritual, but it was between, mates. We had great loves. Friends that would die for each other. And there's nothing sexual about it. So, but he says this love, this Bahar, brings the love towards God. Oh, that's a true love. Because you're getting attracted to the one that you're separated from. We are of God and we are going towards God. That's what Quran says. It's a very amazing verse in Quran. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhu raji'un. We are of God and we're returning to Him. Quran says don't say we are of women, we are of money, we are of fame. He says don't say that. Those are limits. Say we are of God. Because there's nothing in front of you. Therefore you keep going. Anything else has a limit according to Quran. But if you say we're from God, there's no limit. You can progress. But if you limit yourself towards some tangible, things, once you get to it, you end up becoming depressed because always we have wrong estimates. When we get it, it's not exactly what we thought it is. So the contrast that a spring brings love towards the, another human being. This one, he says, brings love towards God. So he starts on the fourth line, another contrast between these two Bahars. On Baharan ra fana baushad agab. Those springs, fana, destructions, ending, nothingness. Fana, gone. Those springs have fana or destruction behind. Agab means behind. Un baharan ra fana baushad agab. Those springs, fana, destructions. Agab means behind. Will be, would be. It is. So there's destruction behind those springs. Sure, those springs, they start from one thing and they end to at one day they end. They have a beginning and they have an end. All those Baha'is. But he says, Win Baharan Rao Bagao Baushad Lagab. Jesus springs, Bagao, eternity, is its actual title. These springs should be called eternity, it says. Again, this is one of those lines that Baha'u'llah has two rhymes in one line. Fana and Baqa is rhyme already, but Laqab and Aqab is also rhyme. Aqab means behind, Laqab means the title. Laqab of somebody is the title of that person. For example, we say Mirza Hussein Ali is the name of Baha'u'llah. His laqab is Baha'u'llah. So laqab is the title that is given. Baha'u'llah says the very title of these springs is eternity. And those springs, whereas those springs have destructions and ending right behind. So this Bahar, in other words, these guys are transient, this Bahar is eternal, eternity. Another contrast, the final one in this 5 line, but there's more. He talks about a lot about these two Bahars. He wants us to understand the contrast. So, on Bahar as fasl khizad dar jahan. That Bahar, that spring, fasl means season. Also it means separation, segmentation. Okay, chapter. Fasl of a book is a chapter of a book. The fasl of the year is the season of the year. Fasl between two persons is separation between them. So on Bahar, that spring is of season. Khizat means rising. Is risen or comes about because of the fasl in the universe. Dar in Jahan means universe. So that spring comes about of this season in the Jahan universe. Win Bahar, this spring, he says. He uses the win. We have this win and in. Remember, in means this. Win, which aleph has aleph here. Aleph is omitted. Win, ve means and. Va-in, same as here. Which one? There's no aleph even. They've just completely omitted the aleph in their writing. I don't know, somehow. I've looked at it. There's no aleph. Win means and this, because there's no aleph. Va means and, in means this. Va-in, which in poetry we simply say win. Win Bahar, this is spring of Nure. Nur means the light, E means of, Nure. Ruye, Ru means the countenance. Ye, of, Del Setan, the beloved. Again, there's many words for beloved. Setan means a place of something. For example, say Afghanistan. Satan is the place of Afghan. Persian, even to England, they say Engelistan, which means the place of angles. They don't know. There is Celtics, Angles, Wales, and Irish, I think. They're all in United Kingdom. But they simply say Engelistan, means the place where you find angle. Or Majaristan, when you find Majar, which means hungry. So we have this, a lot of that. Golestan, the place of a lot of gold, which is the flower garden. Here is Del-Satan, okay? The place of the heart, you know. This here, Del-Satan, Satandan is also a word, which means taking. Del-Satan here means the one who takes the heart. The heart gets enamored with it. It means beloved, but in this context where you know where the thing comes from, Satan means the one who's capturing your heart, the capturer of the heart, the captor of the heart. So this spring comes from the light of the countenance of the beloved. So he's bringing all of these Baha'is in the contrast. This Mathnavi is big. There's a lot of stuff in it. There is a verse, I'll tell you later on, that talks about even the future manifestation in it. So, what a story is this story of God and humanity, you know. He wants the human being to understand him. It is just too lonely. Very lonely. Very, very lonely. He wants to be recognized. This God wants to be recognized. He's lonely. All of it is, the whole revelation story is God wanting to find people. That's what happens when you get too big. And it is our nature that when we grow truly toward the truth, we end up becoming lonely. This is a journey towards the loneliness. Something that we don't like it. So, all the spiritual people are lonely. I'm not lonely in the sense that there are not too many people around me. Yeah, there's lots of them. But I would have loved to see this Australian, but there's a surge on this thing. They're going after. I had a dream from them last night. They were following me. And we were going through somewhere, I think. They were chasing us and they were going. So if you're listening to me, those guys in Australia, please don't feel pity for me or trying to anything like that. Try to just see that I'm a guy, bad or good, it's irrelevant. But I might have said something that made sense to you. So don't try to look here for the justice of the case, that you bring justice for my case or the case of others. I'm not really interested in that, honestly. But I would appreciate if you talk to the other people and try to create a movement in the Baha'i faith, that the Baha'is, they become familiar with the truth of the revelation, so we don't repeat what these people did in the past, okay? Sure, this is the Baha'u'llah says there's a revelation of Jesus Christ. He says Bob is the John the Baptist and I am the return of Christ. But the whole thing that mankind did should not get repeated again, isn't it? It is the West and Westerners, which by the way are Australian as well, Anglo-Saxons, to bring this up. In order to do that, we have to find out the truth about the subject. So if you found out that I'm telling the truth and there are points in what I'm saying and I am the elder of God, so what are you going to do? Don't mention my name. Just say that, bring the subject though. Send a letter to Universal House of Justice that we have, heard about this Universal House of Guardianships. And if they ask you, are you in contact with anybody on my behalf, you may lie. I'll take that. I'll pay for it. Tell them no. There's no particular person is the question here. We simply want to know, these are questions raised in our mind. We want an answer. And we have found these solutions, irrelevant who it is. We feel the solution is correct. The answer, of course, to you will be that no, because they're not lying, they're just giving you their understanding. And if they would understand it better than that, and otherwise, they would have probably accepted it. They just can't understand it, trust me. People can't sometimes. So, and of course you're going to make serious enemy for me when you say that. The first guardian of the faith of God died at age 57. I might, get killed too. Just only one more year left. I'm 56 now. Become 57. And that's going to be, my end as well. So we should not do this. Actually, Universal House of Justice so far has been trying to protect me from some of the people they might want to harm me. So let's just get the issue outside of who I am. Who I am cannot be judged in this planet. If you're a Baha'i, you can't. God has to judge. Myself, I cannot judge. If I've done right or wrong, Baha'u'llah will say that. But the truth remains, though, the subject is not the object, it's the subjects. Let's dig into the subject and try to find out whatever the truth is. The truth of the Baha'i faith is very, very important. I promise you, there's nothing more important in your life, more than understanding the truth of it, first of all, and then spread it around to the friends. But feeling sorry for a lot of people such as me, it would be wrong because I've chosen this destiny, my dear friends. I've chosen. And when I'm ripened enough, I probably get assassinated by some fanatics. That's happened before. That might happen again. And at that point I join, the League of the Heroes, and Abbas was this guy was that guy was this. We didn't understand the elder when he came. Okay, so he's gone, good, now try to understand and prevent future damage in the future. Very well. Baha'u'llah be with you, the greatest spirit that is watching all of us, to be your protector. Be relentless and finding out the truth about the cause of God and spreading that truth. Everything else is irrelevant, okay?